Okay, today we're going to talk about knife safety a little bit, and I'm going to go through several rules here. And the first rule is if you're walking away from a knife, you either want to leave it closed or in a sheath. Now if you're working with the knife and you want to lay it down on a table or on the ground right next to you so you can pick it back up again, if it's all bloody from cutting up or butchering an animal, you don't want to stick it back in the sheath all bloody, and so it's all right to lay it down while you're working there. But when you're done, you need to pick it up, clean it off, and put it away in a good sheath. The second thing is you want a sharp knife, and I'll do another little video here on how to sharpen a knife. But if a knife can't cut a piece of paper like that, you're holding on to one edge of the paper. If a knife can't cut a piece of paper like that, it's not sharp. And what happens is if you have a dull knife and you're really pushing and pushing and pushing, it won't cut, and then all of a sudden something breaks and away it goes. Or maybe even the blade breaks because you're pushing so hard. And that's where it gets dangerous. And your knife goes off, maybe it goes flying out of your hand. But if it's sharp, it's easy to cut into wood or whatever you're cutting into. You can just push it. It's just like butter. It just pushes with your thumb. So you want a sharp knife. The next thing we're going to talk about is you don't want anybody close to you. And this is what we call the blood circle. And if you take your knife, preferably in the sheath, and hold it out as far as you can go all the way around you, that's your blood circle. And you don't want anybody coming in here, not your dog or your cat or any pets. If they come in here, you got to put your knife down, tell them to get out of your circle. The next area we want to talk about is this area right in here, from your belt line out to your knees and your crotch and across here. You have two big blood vessels that run in here that if you would cut them, you could bleed very severely. So if you're whittling with a pocket knife, you don't want to be whittling up here. You want to put your arms on your knees and get out here and work outside of this, what we call a triangle of death. Now the next thing is if you drop a knife accidentally, you know, like this here knife, don't ever try to catch it. Just get out of the way and let it drop. If it breaks, it breaks. But you just, or if it gets dull, busts up the edge, that's too bad. But you don't ever want to try to catch a knife. And then the last safety thing, in all but one kind of cut, you always want to cut away from yourself. You always want to cut away like that. Now I've got the knife closed. You never want to cut back like this, because if you slip, you could cut yourself. You cut yourself in the leg. Even if you're out here, if you're pulling back like that, boom, you cut yourself in the leg. If you're going to cut a rope, you always want to cut away from yourself, because when that rope cuts through, you can't stop your knife. Your knife continues on. And so if this stick here was a knife, I would never want to cut back like this, because I'd cut myself. So that's the rules of knife safety. Stay out of my blood circle. Do not work in your triangle of death. Make sure your knife is sharp. And always cut away from yourself. And if you do that, you'll be safe.